Hello everyone, it is Sunday night and we are coming to you live inside of Bad City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida to help you wind down your weekend. As always, I'm your host, Shannon Live, aka Small Press Shann, here to tell you all about this week's small press and indie new releases. But of course, if we're gonna wind down our weekend, we've got to have a wine to kick it off with. And so this week, we are drinking Tamez, which is a Tempranillo, which is a Spanish wine. And if you watch the show, you know generally my favorite kinds of wines. This one I am so curious about because the name, I looked it up and Tamez means like sieve or like a strainer. And so I'm really curious to see like if that has anything to do with like the process of how they make their wine. It's not on here, but I'm just like, that's such an interesting name for a wine. It also doesn't tell us anything about it. So, you know, we're just going to go in blind and assume that it's going to be a peppery, spicy kind of wine because it's Tempranillo. I will say, Matt opened it when I was in the other room and I walked back and literally before I even got in my seat, I was like, I can smell the wine. So it has a very strong smell to it. And it's a good one. It smells like Tempranillo, which means it smells like all kinds of spices inside of a grapey like experience.
Wow.
That is really good.
It's very dry.
Yeah,
very
there's
peppery.
very peppery, which if that's with it being just freshly opened, I'm kind of scared of how peppery it will be when it has a chance to open up. But it is. There's some good flavors in there, though. I don't know what they are, as usual, but there's some good ones. I mean, it's Tempranillo, so there's definitely like we said, the pepper, the spices. You can taste a little bit of those, but also like, I mean, Tempranillo grapes just have their own unique taste, and so that's why I'm like, it kind of just tastes like a Tempranillo because it tastes like Tempranillo grapes. But those are like the specific grapes that are grown in that like area of Spain. We're going to keep drinking it. We're going to keep talking about it, see what it opens up into. I'm really excited because, again, if it's this spicy at the beginning, it's going to open up into a lot. I assume that we'll also get a little more of the other flavors because we didn't really see too much about like what fruit is in it off that first couple of tastes. And so as this opens up, we'll see if it turns into more. If you are joining us, let us know that you're hanging out, whether you're watching it live or later on in the playback on YouTube or Facebook. We want to know, so let us know if you're hanging out. This week at Bat City, we had a lot of really cool stuff that I want to just give some shout outs for. We had a really cool opportunity to kick off our Slam Academy at Manatee School for the Arts. It's going to be a full year program for their students, and I'm really excited. Our art teachers, Katie and Adrian, and then myself, got to go and do an orientation for the students, and I'm just really excited. There's about 42 students already enrolled in that program, and it's going to be awesome to see them develop a whole comic throughout the school year, and like a full-length comic. So it's going to be awesome, and there's going to be tons more information coming out about that and how even if you don't have a student at MSA or if you are not a student at all, like, or related to a student at all, how you may be able to support that program a little bit throughout the year. We also had a chance to go out to the Imagine Museum up in St. Pete, where Katie and I got to talk about the process of comic making all day long. So we had a bunch of different stations where people could learn how the process of making comics traditionally, comic art traditionally worked, and people got to go on a fun little adventure through the museum while they did it. And then we also led 2 different workshops about comic writing throughout the day there. So thank you so much to the Imagine Museum for having us out for that. And just that all the people who came, it was a part of their Homeschool Heroes Day, so we got to see hundreds of homeschool students and their parents throughout the day that day, as well as just regular museum attendees. And so that was really awesome. If you have a chance to go up there, they have a great graphic medium art exhibit right now. It's called Graphic Worlds. It shows paintings, drawings, hand-blown glass, all kinds of different things that reflect on comics and anime. They also have a separate exhibit that is all geared around Amanda Connor and all of the work she's done, a lot of it being her Harley Quinn work throughout the time. And there's also originals from the new Harley Quinn Elvira series coming up. So if you're excited about that series, you can get a little sneak peek by going up to the museum and checking out the Amanda Connor exhibit. And shout out to Amanda for just being all around one of the coolest people. This Wednesday, we also had Queer Book Club, where we talked about Fun Home. Thank you to queer librarian and activist Molly Saunders for running that program. We will be meeting again at the end of next month, and we are reading The Hazards of Love for that, which is going to be a lot of fun. We will have those books available in the store soon. We also had Thursday night was creator meetup. Thank you to everybody who came out. It was so many amazing creators working on so many different projects. We had a lot more people finishing up their Mad Cave submissions, as well as people just talking through some other projects and ideas that they're working on. So thanks again to everybody who came out for that, provided your insight to each other, and just kind of helped support each other. It was really awesome, and it's always great to have people to bounce your ideas off of. And then this Saturday, yesterday, we had our Super Sleuth. It was our end of summer reading party, and we decided that the most important thing you could do as a reader is learn how to use your inference and evidence detective skills. And so we had a Super Sleuth party, and we are super thankful that the Bradenton Police Department helped make that event happen by bringing out police cars, police officers, and SWAT team members and the SWAT truck for the kids. So as they did their detective work around the store, doing their Super Sketch Artist game, their evidence game, memory recall game, and their scavenger hunt, where they had to learn to read and interpret clues, they were able to win prizes not only from Bat City but from the Bradenton Police Department. And a super huge thank you to the Bradenton Police Department CRA team, to Officer Ramdath, who helped set it all up, and to Chief Kramer for just coming out and supporting and letting us have all of that. And a shout out to METV. If you want to see more about the event and some of the other things we have coming up at Bat City, you can check out METV this week for the story on all of that and everything that happened. And so lots of crazy things. Of course, today was afternoon, and we had some cool art made in the classroom. There is a lot going on coming up in the month of September. That calendar is dropping onto Facebook and Instagram tomorrow, as well as all of the event pages for all the different things. So keep an eye out for all of that. But most importantly, I hope that you have September 27th on your calendar, because that is our local comic shop day celebration. It is also our Bativersary, our celebration of the anniversary of Bat City opening, but also the anniversary of Bat City moving to Bradenton. And we are going to be celebrating all of that on local comic shop day with a zine festival and a cool makers fair. So if you are a zine creator and you want to be a part of it, please message us on social media. If you are somebody who just wants to come out and hang out, it's going to be a lot of fun. There is more announcements to come for how big that event is going to be. So keep your eyes peeled onto our social media for all the local comic shop day announcements. It's going to be a big one. And yes, we will have local comic shop day variants. If you're somebody who's been around local comic shop day for years, you know there's all those special variants that come out for local comic shop day. We will have all kinds of different ones, as well as some other giveaways and stuff. So you're going to want to keep your eyes peeled on that. All right, I'm going to take one more drink of this wine before I kick it off with some books. Oh my gosh, that's already, wow. It's already changing, and I was right. That's going to be so spicy in the best way. I know I just made a crazy face, but it's because I thought it was going to still be not spicy, and I took way too big of a drink. Yeah. Ooh, that is going to open up a lot of spices. I'm so stoked for this one. All right. So speaking of getting spicy, let's talk about some awesome comics. And we're going to kick it off with Kaya, issue 29 from Image Comics. This is one of the truly most all ages comic on the shelf. I literally have customers as young as 8 and as old as like 60 who pick up this book, and everybody in between should love it as well. This is the story of Kaya, who is a young girl who was told that she was going to be the golden one who was going to save everybody, only to find out that she actually wasn't, and that was actually her brother. And when everybody in her village was destroyed except her and her brother, she took it upon herself to make it her responsibility to take her brother to the elder gods who would train him in the magic that he needed to learn, which includes traveling all across the entire world and all the land. And while she thinks the most important thing she can do is just get her little brother Jin to the gods, she's learning that along the way his really responsibility is to save the people. And so they are stopping and saving people in different points along the way. And in this arc, they have been working to save a village of people who have been enslaved that are in prison and forced to work for the evil empire that is. And Jin and them have been working so hard on this. And Kaya is expecting the trickster god Raziel, who's been working with them, to betray them at some point. But in reality, we might actually be losing Jin a lot sooner, and it may have nothing to do with Raziel's training, but just the fact that Jin has never had to experience loss and grief, and that is other than the misunderstanding of losing his people at the beginning. And so he suffering from not being able to be as good and as strong as he needs to be right now, and that is leading him down some dark paths, and we're going to see exactly what that means in the next issue, I'm sure. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures is the longest name for a comic, but we are also on issue 28 from IDW, and this is your classic Ninja Turtles cartoon turned into a comic, and we are getting some great episodes. And in this arc, we are seeing the Pantheon of Evil essentially trying to figure out who should be the one to rule the Pantheon, and basically the decision is whoever destroys the Ninja Turtles gets to do just that. And in this issue, it is Golgotha's turn, who is like, I have the power of the sirens, though they don't actually know how to sing very well or make up rhymes. And they have taken the Ninja Turtles hostage, and they are in this dream world that is just kind of starts out as the perfect world for them, but then turns into all of their nightmares. And it's up to Splinter and April to team up together and actually save them from this evil entity. And it's just kind of fun to see what the Ninja Turtles like ultimate happiness moment as a group would be, but also to see what their biggest fears are. And you get to see April just being awesome all the way around, and I absolutely love that all the time. I don't think we get to see enough of April kicking butt in these issues, and so I'm glad we do get to see that in this one, and kind of build up the fact that we are going to see the next member of that Pantheon take over in the next issue, and the battles are only just getting worse as they go. We've got Void Rivals, issue 22 from Image, Skybound, and your Energon universe, which is the combination of Transformers and G.I. Joe. This is kind of your overarching story that is building out to whatever exactly it is that Robert Kirkman wants of this Energon universe. And so this is the story of two different worlds that have been at odds forever. They've been in an epic battle. They're told that the differences are insurmountable and they should never be friends. And two warring people end up on the same planet, only to find out that there's actually no difference between the two of them. And they decide it's up to them to kind of go back to their respective planets and kind of in this war. And in the 20 issues since that happened, as we are now in issue 22, there is, guess what, they weren't able to convince them to stop the war. In fact, they kind of ended up inadvertently starting the war, and now these two warring planets are actually physically fighting each other, and we're leading to a lot of destruction, and it seems like there is not a lot of hope. We've got a couple of Transformers who are helping us with this battle, including one Hot Rod, who is one of my favorite Transformers. And so I love to see him in there, so I'm all in. But we are seeing kind of the reveal of how Energon is really impacting this story and how that's going to connect into what is going on with the Transformers, which of course will then connect into how it's going on with the G.I. Joe world. With Robert Kirkman about to take over the Transformers proper title, I'm really curious to see if when we get to like the next issue or so, or the end of this arc essentially, for Void Rivals, if it's just going to automatically connect into his Transformers, and will we still see Void Rivals, or will it all kind of become one thing? I'm really curious to find out. Geiger, issue 17 from Image and the Ghost Machine imprint. This just keeps getting bigger and better in the Geiger universe, and we in this issue, if you don't know Geiger at all, there was a massive war, and one man was kind of left as this radioactive defender in the post-apocalyptic world, I guess apocalyptic world, because we're kind of just, it is post-apocalypse because the bomb was dropped. So anyway, he's having to kind of try to figure out how to live his life, and he's been trying to figure out how to actually get away from this radioactiveness that he's been forced into. And we've seen a lot happen in this series, and recently he came across somebody else who had that same radioactive problem, and he just couldn't leave himself to be as tormented and non-helpful of other people as this person was. And so he kind of builds himself up to where his radioactivity is now in question, and he just had a huge outburst in the last issue, and we wake up in this one with him lost and possibly non-radioactive. Question mark. We have no idea what's going on with Mr. Geiger, and his team is trying to find him. He is now like trapped in a prison that thinks that he is trying to steal their treasure, and I don't even want to show you that because it's such a big spoiler at the end there. But there is just a lot. Like, is Geiger okay? For the first time, I'm not really sure that he is, and I'm really nervous and worried for him. But we also do get to see that Junkyard Joe has an epilogue on this story, and that the team that is supposed to be looking for Geiger is actually getting a little closer to finding him. So there's hopefully going to be somebody who comes to save him, but there is a lot going on in the Geiger universe, and that unnamed universe as it was is getting bigger. We're going to see that connecting points as this and the red coat and all of these kinds of things start to kind of blend together a little bit more. And where is it going? I have no idea, but I'm on board. I'm just going with you. Wherever you take me, Jeff Johns, that's where we're going. We've got Minor Arcana issue 10 from Boom Studios. This is all about a woman who has come back home. She, herself has been a struggling alcoholic and has trying to enter into this recovery, and she finds out her mom has cancer. She comes home. Her mom is a local town psychic, except she's not in fact actually psychic in any way, shape, or form. She's just been ripping people off, and when her mom kind of goes into that I can't work state, she ends up taking over for her mom, only to find out that she actually may be psychic. And now she's mad at her mom because she thinks her mom's been lying about faking it all this time. But she has been having these visions every time she goes into the psychic trance of her grandfather. And this issue is actually the story of the grandfather. We haven't known what happened to him and why he wasn't a part of the family life. And now we're actually getting to see that. And so this takes us to a time where the grandfather is in prison for a murder that he committed. And he's kind of looking for an out, a way to make himself become a better person. And in that, he actually ends up finding the occult and finding tarot and psychic abilities, and opening himself up to something on the other side. And that kind of gives him the ability to connect with his family himself and something beyond that. And this is all going to tie into how maybe she's able to see what is happening and why it is always her grandpa. And so we're finally starting to see those bridges being met, and we're going to find out where that goes. Hornsby and Halo, issue 9 from Image Comics and the Ghost Machine imprint. This is also another one of those really great all ages books that I think everybody should be checking out. This is about two kids. One is a young girl who is actually technically a demon and meant to be the ruler of hell. The other is a young boy who is an angel and meant to be the ruler of heaven. They were sent to Earth and raised in opposite kind of settings to see if that nature versus nurture really does play a big role. And now that they are turning that age of 13 and getting to become into their powers, they are starting to actually experience what it's like to be an angel and a demon, and they are not very happy about it, nor are they very happy about the fact that it's kind of tying the two of them together, because they don't like each other very much, which makes sense because hell and heaven have been in an epic battle forever. In this issue, they are actually at a town community fair, and they are being harassed by a demon and an angel who are really trying to accept the roles they're supposed to play, because heaven and hell want these two to actually take on the place that they're supposed to be and actually bring about this epic battle. Woo! And so they have find themselves in a fight against an angel and a demon who have gone a little rogue, and they may have just revealed themselves too much to the outside world because they don't have anybody looking out for them anymore. And now that it's all just the two of them, some monster hunters, some humans, and maybe some other angels and demons are going to know exactly where these two are and put them on the map in a way they don't want to be. I really love that story. It's so good. Herculoids, issue 7 from Dynamite. This is a comic book version of the Herculoids cartoon, another one of our Hanna-Barbera stories. And in this, the The Herculoids are a family of people who live on a planet and are supposed to be protecting the planet from all who would want to come after it, because it is a planet full of all of the perfect resources and needs that anybody could have. And while this family seems to be having just the most easy time doing it, we finally find our first obstacle as the great mastermind of evil, and knowledge has come forth to try to take over their planet, and in that specifically is trying to take over the mind of their young son. And we see the carpenter ants of destruction essentially come after this family, and while they are busy fighting them, we might see the first couple of rounds of the Herculoids not being strong enough to protect everything they need to with this issue and beyond. So You'll Do Bad Things, issue 6 from Image Comics. This is the wrap-up of Tyler Boss's newest story, which is such a crazy, off-the-wall, you're going to finish it and then say, maybe I need to go back and read the whole thing because I don't know if I even know what just happened. And not just this issue. You're going to want to go back and read the whole thing and see if all the pieces you were putting together actually worked out. So this is the story of a guy who is a writer who once wrote like the epic tell-all of this villain who, like this murderer, serial killer who killed a bunch of people. And now he, after getting famous off of that, wants to write his next book, but really doesn't want it to be another murder. He really needs out of that headspace, and he's trying so hard to just write a romantic comedy or something of that nature. But every time he tries to write that story, he ends up writing in some kind of serial killer situation. And so he can't ever get to the point where he actually writes that. The problem is as he's doing that, the murders that he's writing start to become true, and he gets really nervous that what if he's the killer, or what if he's responsible for the killer? What if he's making these murders happen? And so he kind of starts to try to set his own trap to figure it out, and what exactly is going on. And in this issue, we have all of the reveals that really just tell us exactly what's going on, and the twists and turns that even happen in those moments are going to keep you guessing until the very last page, where you then grab all 6 issues and go back and read it from the beginning to figure out if you have any clue, and if you knew all along the way. You want to know what happens, you have to read it. I'm not giving you any more details because that would spoil the whole thing. So just read it. Speaking of murder mystery kind of stories, we've got Dust to Dust issue 6 back from Image Comics and the Giant Generator imprint, which is Rick Remender's imprint. This is such a great book. The art is fantastic. It takes place in the Dust Bowl, and so our artist Phil Bram puts everything in these like sepia tones and this really strict line kind of drawings, and it's so cool. But this is following a woman who is a reporter and a small town sheriff as some people try to get out of town and they don't quite make it. And we're seeing that there's a lot of weird murdering things happen on the outskirts of town, and nobody really knows what it is, and nor is anybody really kind of paying attention to it. And as it gets brought up to the sheriff's attention and the woman's attention, we actually do get to see maybe there's more into it that the mayor is trying to cover up. This issue has some really great balancing points in the storytelling because they are also dealing with a massive overrunning of jackrabbits, and they're like, if the jackrabbits get free, and they overrun, they kind of like ruin the environment and everything. So they have this jackrabbit smashing competition for the town, and so she's kind of seeing that a little bit of violence is kind of warranted in this town. Like they enjoy a little bit of violence, and maybe that's why some of these people are so not paying attention to the death and destruction that's lying just beyond their reaches. But also we see cheating partners, we see a corrupt mayor, we see a sheriff who's got a lot of internal struggle, and it is so slow moving that if you had told me that there wasn't actually a murder that was going to ever happen again in this book, I would believe you, because we are slowly moving through the story and kind of feeling that lostness that you would have felt during that Dust Bowl, and that lack of knowledge. Everything has kind of been shut off for them for communication wise, and so we're getting slow information just as much as they are, and it is so well done. We've got DuckTales issue 6 from Dynamite and their Disney Comics imprint. We are getting to see so many of the Disney movies and cartoons and titles come out from Dynamite. And much like the Ninja Turtle Saturday Morning Adventures, this is just episodic nature of different kind of DuckTales episodes. And on this one, the nephews and Scrooge, Uncle Scrooge, have all gone on an adventure, and they are trying to find a new treasure that Scrooge hasn't claimed before. And it is these 3 golden eggs, and he takes Huey, Dewey, and Louie with him. And when they get to this community where they are going to actually try to find this treasure, everybody in the town hates Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and they're like, we've never even been here before. And even Scrooge is getting mad because he's like, how could my nephews be a problem if they've never been here before? And what we learn is that there are 3 kids in the neighborhood that actually look exactly like Huey, Dewey, and Louie, except in other colors. And they are mischievous and terrible, and everybody hates them. And so the woman who knows the secret to the golden eggs says she'll give them freely to Scrooge if he can figure out how to make these kids behave better. And so Scrooge and the boys go out on an adventure to try to teach these other kids that maybe being kind is more important than having fun, because you can do both. And if having fun in your life is being mean to people, then you're not really having fun, you're just a jerk. And so it's really a great lesson to see, but of course they have to have plenty of hijinks along the way, and whether or not they get their treasure is always Scrooge's only end result. We're taking everyone down with us. Issue 5 from Image Comics. This is such a huge book that Matthew Rosenberg has built out in this like tiny amount of issues. And there's just so many layers to it. But this is all about a man who is the world's like smartest villain. He's kind of just like this evil scientist, and he created all this stuff, and there's an evil society of villains. And once he kind of gets kicked out of that, and he goes to live on his own island and creates a bunch of stuff on his own, and we don't really know completely everything that it was, but we do know that he has a daughter, and he has been trying to hide the evil geniusness from her and just show her that he's trying to save the world in different ways. And in issue 1, the evil organization finds out where he is, and they come after him, and now they are trying to they've destroyed the island and possibly him, and the daughter is left with nothing but her robot that has a very similar familiar consciousness to it, and they are stuck kind of on this adventure. And he takes her to this castle to a woman who is allegedly her mother, and so she is actually getting this experience for the first time of getting to meet somebody that maybe another family member, because she's never had that chance. And meanwhile, the whole time, there's still an evil organization after her, after what could have happened to her dad, after this woman as well. But I love this issue because there is a scene where the mom is like, I want to teach you like to play chess, and I want to talk to you about this stuff. And the way that they do this with these chess panels and just like her movements, it's so cool because the mom's asking questions, and you can feel that she's trying to kind of lead the daughter into an understanding and possibly an entrapment. And the daughter is 6 steps ahead of her in both the game and the conversation at all times. And it just kind of sets up where we're going to go for the rest of the story, because this daughter is very much a mastermind, and we are still not quite 100% sure what exactly she is that these two may have created. And we are starting to get even more teases to that as this issue goes on, and I'm very curious exactly what the reveals in the next issue are going to be. We've got Lilith issue 5 from Vault Comics. I love this book so much. This is the end of this arc, which I knew going into it because Corinne had told us that back in May in London, and I have been very upset about the fact that I was going to have a break, but at least I was prepared for it going into it. But this is the story of Lilith, who is, of course, a demon, a succubus specifically, and she has been removed from the place that she is from, and she wants to get back to ruling and having all of that power, and she needs some help doing it, and specifically she needs a certain like powerful demonology book that kind of controls everything, except she doesn't know where it is and she doesn't know how to read it. She ends up finding a young woman who owns an occult store, an occult bookstore specifically, and that woman actually is able to read this book, and the two of them develop a friendship as they actually start working together. And at first it is Lilith trying to manipulate her, but it slowly becomes a friendship, maybe even something more. our main girl still does not know that Lilith is the succubus and demon that she is, nor does she know that the other person who is hanging around is also from that realm. But they do know that all of these other monsters and demons are following them and suddenly trying to attack them, which they, of course, know is probably because of this book, because they have come from, you know, this world of books and the occult and stuff themselves. And so we do get to see kind of an epic battle for the moment, and where that's going to leave us with everybody is going to be on a giant cliffhanger of I'm not patient and I don't want to wait. So Corinne, don't make us wait too long for more Lilith, because it's so good. If you didn't get a chance to read it, I am glad that we are getting a break, because at least in there will be trade paperbacks, because it's so hard to find those early issues. But it is such a good, fun series. It's almost got romantic comedy feels to it, even though it is kind of like it's like a rom-com horror story, which is kind of everything I want. I want a little bit of horror and rom-com all blended together, and I wish that we could make that a genre in the same way we have romantasy. I wish we could have more romantic comedy horror stories. Work on that, everybody. The Last Boy, issue 5 from Boom Studios. This is also the wrap-up of at least this arc. I know we did get 2 when it came to Alice Ever After, so maybe we'll get to see a second volume of this one as well. But this is the story of Peter Pan, and he is in Neverland, and he's kind of the only one that is still living the life that is, you know, we expect of Peter Pan. He's the last boy. The other lost boys have gone off. They're running a different kingdom nearby. Tiger Lily has started working with Captain Hook and is working on actually just making the land better, and their kind of created business and transit and all this kind of stuff for everybody in Neverland. And Peter's just suddenly like realizes that everybody's gone on without him, and he's really struggling with that, and he has a lot of big moments in there. Paralleled with that is that Wendy is not doing so well in the real world. She just wants to be a writer, and she wants to create her stories and tell of her adventures, and her family's trying to force her into that societal expectation, trying to make her marry a man she doesn't love just because he's boring, but also because that means he's stable. And in this issue, they kind of both have their square downs, where Peter goes after this new shadow creature that has been destroying Neverland, and realizes some of the big key moments of that. And Wendy realizes that she does have the power to just say no and not marry the person she doesn't want to be with. And she kind of opens herself up to the life that she wants, as well as Peter opening himself up to the fact that maybe growing up isn't a terrible adventure in and of itself. And I really, really like the way this one ended. So, you know, go read it. Dark Regards, issue 4 from Oni Press. This is also wrapping up Dark Regards this week. And this is the most absurd book that you are going to love. This is all about a guy who goes into a record store and is really offended by the fact that the people make fun of him because he doesn't know enough about metal and he's not cool. And it's very like high fidelity in the very beginning of the story, with them mocking his musical taste. And he decides that he is going to become the most metal person of all time, and he's going to become like the Dark Lord of Metal. And he has this moment with a demon that's like, yes, you could totally do that, but he's like not good at it really. And so he sends a bunch of emails out to record producers and all the other metal bands in like Norway and around the world, telling them why they all suck and how he's better, except he doesn't have a band yet. So over the last 4 issues, he's been building that band, and they have been practicing, and they are all not the people you would expect to be in a metal band. And in this issue, they finally have their face-to-face showdown with the ultimate Norwegian dark metal band, a black metal band, I guess they should say. And they have this epic battle to the end. And it actually becomes a little more epic and metal than anybody wants. This is a high comedy, by the way. This is not a serious book in any way. It takes a lot of satirical jokes at the metal industry. It takes a lot of makes a lot of jokes about just people who, you know, are trying to force their way into it, as well as people who are like super posers, quote unquote, as the girl from the record store would say. And it also makes fun of the record store cliche of calling people posers. It's got all of that in there. It's hilarious, and the ending that comes is going to be something that's just going to make you laugh the whole time through. I am so distracted by this crazy looking book on the back, and I'm super excited. This is the Yuletide story, which I actually just heard them talk about the other day. This is coming soon. This is going to be a dark horror anthology kind of story for the winter season, and I just got to hear them talk about it, and I'm so stoked. So seeing the cover on the back, I was like, ooh, they're already advertising it. Yay. We've got Sleep issue 4 from Image Comics. I got to talk a little bit about this book today. I love the psychological horror that it is, because this is all about a young guy who something is ravaging his town. There's like this beast that's coming in and killing people, and nobody knows what it is. And for some reason, he keeps finding himself waking up right in the midst of everything, covered in nothing but like blood or scars or things like that. And he doesn't know how he's connected to it. But at this point, he's kind of figured maybe he's the monster. And is that monster a monster? Is it a werewolf inside of him? Is it a demon inside of him? He doesn't really know, and he doesn't really know who to turn to. And so in this issue, he finally turns to a friend and is like, hey, I think I'm killing everybody. And they're like, we have to get you out of here. And he's like, no, I don't know if that's a safe idea, because then I might just kill people somewhere else. And they're like, well, maybe it's just this town is doing it to you. And he hears the bells of the church ringing, claiming sanctuary and safety for everybody. And he's like, maybe that's what I need to do. I need to go to the church and get this demon out of me. And we are setting up for some big stuff to happen. I love this book because it is all black and white with this spot color, which you can see like the glasses and things on here. And even the back of the book, like, not only do they have the regular letters to the editor, but they also have a conspiracy corner. And this month is people asking questions about what is the red and what does it represent. And they are like, we're not going to tell you. Good luck. So we know that there's going to be something with that spot color coming soon, and all of the things that we are hoping to determine about that. Hopefully we're going to get those answers at some point. But it's such a fun book, and I love how many different types of paneling they use and how tight they are, and yet to give you that rapidness of experience, and yet it always feels really slow moving and dreadful still. We've got Pale Night issue 4 from Mad Cave. This is during the time of the like bubonic plague kind of period, or really probably even before that, because this is like knights and things. The Black Death essentially is moving through, and they don't really know what it is. And this knight is tasked by death to kill somebody in order to save his own son, because his son gets these boils and this plague, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And the guy's like, okay, the death is like, I will save your son, but you have to kill this person that I have not been able to kill. And he makes the decision to go ahead and do that, which he realizes may have just cost him his own soul, but as long as he can save his son, he doesn't really care. In this issue, we actually pass through a town where hundreds of people have just been falling dead and prey to this disease, and a young girl is killed by the disease and then is awakened by death to kind of spread that disease throughout the realm even more. And he actually finds her and is realizing like this is like a young plague maiden, and he's like, I'm gonna follow her because she makes reference to the guy that she's supposed to kill, and she's like, I couldn't kill him either. And so he feels like maybe he'll get the information he needs about this man from this girl, and instead it leads him on a completely different quest to kind of save the girl and to figure out if there is any coming back from this situation, and like what does that freedom from that look like. Honestly, this was my favorite issue of Pale Night so far. It almost stood alone as this adventure between them, and yet really moved the entire story forward so much, and kind of just gave us so much more character growth for the knight himself as it was, because he just had to make decisions in a different way than he's had to make them before, and kind of just saw himself actually as like both the monster and the hero that he could be, and that like idea, that duality of nature, and that we can't really escape it any more than we can escape death. All right, we've got Money Shot issue 4 from Vault, and I'll pretend like I can show you what's inside of this book. This is a very mature book about a group of scientists a page I can show. A group of scientists in the future who realize that they can't get funding for their projects anymore. So in order to make money, they decide to go through all of space and just make adult film content. And they use the money that they make from that in order to fund the programming that they are trying to do to save the world. In this volume, they have learned that, I think I can show this page. They have learned, no, I can't. That was a lie. They have learned in this volume, I might just hold the book up at one point. Yes, let's just do that. In this volume, they have learned that that there is a secret cult that is going to come up that is anti-sex, that is going to try to take out all of them, kill them all, and they are like, we have to stop that from happening. And so they have gone on this path to try to solve the way to do that. And so they've kidnapped the guy who will eventually, like, they've gone back in time, kidnapped the guy that will eventually become the leader of this cult, and are trying to get him to actually enjoy sex, which is actually making him more afraid of sex and kind of leads him on the path towards actually creating that cult. And we see a lot of those big, you are butterfly affecting yourself into the problem instead of the solution moments in this issue, as well as a lot of personal drama and problems. And if you're an adult and you want to read a hilariously mature comic, this is definitely the one. It's Patton Oswalt writing a Tim Seeley concept, and you don't have to have read any previous Money Shot to actually read this volume. They did a really great job of basically rebooting Money Shot at this point, so it's easy to jump in on. But you have to be 18 to do so. Lost Fantasy issue 4 from Image Comics. This book has always, every single one of these has been a double-sized issue because it is just building such a big world so quickly. But this is about a society of magic users who basically have made it their job to protect the outside world from dark magic and terrible things that are happening. And we see our main character, who is one of the members of that society, come in issue 1 and is kind of investigating these murders. Figures out that there may be something bigger. Maybe it's a werewolf, maybe it's something else magical, and he's really struggling with solving the case. So they bring out another person to help him, which is of course the person like he hates the most. It's his nemesis in the organization, but they have to start working together to figure this out. And they've gone through a lot in the last 3 issues. And in this issue, we actually get to learn a lot more about each of the characters. Everybody kind of gets a little character boost bump in their development. We see some past, we see some present, and some kind of future teased moments. But we do also get to learn about a completely different person who works within the society, who has kind of believed themselves above the rules for a really long time. And because of that, they may have actually been the one who brought a lot of the darkness into the world that we're struggling with now. And we're getting to see how this organization might have a lot of flaws, and it might have a lot of double backstabbing and underhanded things going on. And so if you're a fan of something like the kind of more of the organizational politics and the like less of the horror and more of the stopping in something is killing the children and more of the like the way the society works, this kind of blends Black Cloak and something that's killing the children together into a new kind of adventure. All right, before I go into number 3, I'm going to take a drink of this wine because that's like the halfway point-ish of the books, not of the wine. Oh, wow, that's good. That's like way less pepper now and more of the like actual fruity flavors came in to balance it out. That opened up in like a complete, like the full body is almost there now. Like we're starting to get flavors of other things, which is really good because that last drink I was like, whoa, that's a lot of pepper. This actually had a good balance point.
It's a little more sour now too.
It is a little more sour now. I'm not quite sure. I mean, that's probably just those Tempranillo grapes, but I can't tell if there's any other fruit that's kicking that sourness like into it. But
kind of like a raspberry sour.
Yeah.
It's like a plummy raspberry.
I would have said plum. Yeah. But
like the raspberries create the sour, because are plums sour? Sometimes
they can be. I feel like a a less ripe plum, I feel like, is more of a sour tinge to it. And then, like, once the, like, longer a plum ripens, the more, like, sweet it gets and, like, juicier. But I feel like when, like, if you get, like, plums when they're fresh in the season and you take a bite, a lot of times they've got, like, that's, like, almost stings to them. But it's been so long. I haven't had a plum since we moved to Florida. So, are there a lot of plums in Florida, Floridians? Is that, like, a fruit that I feel like in Texas we had a lot of, like, plums and plum cots, oh my gosh, and, like, which are plums and apricots mixed together. And I don't feel like I see any of those here. So if anybody knows, like, what are the fruits of Florida other than oranges? Because I'm really curious, because I really like fruit, and I have no idea what our fruits are here. All right, we're going to jump into some more books. We've got Benjamin #3 from Oni Press, which is the end of Benjamin. And I will say, I like the way this ended so much that it actually ended up as one of my picks of the week, just because I like the little twist that it took. But it's definitely such a good story. So I am not even sure if any of it has anything to do with where it started. When this book first started, it was very much like, compared to, like, Matt would point out for us on the stream, that it was very much issue 1, which is kind of a Philip K. Dick story about Philip K. Dick. And just giving us that whole, oh, am I a robot? Am I, like, a simulacron? Am I something that comes from my own writing? And it kind of seemed like it was following a lot of plots that you could pull on from Philip K. Dick books. But now it's kind of a little bit of all those things and a little bit more. Or maybe it's still just Philip K. Dick. I don't know. But in this issue, we have seen over the course of the story, I guess I should start with, there is a writer who was supposedly dead, who is suddenly alive in this world. And he's been on this adventure with a guy he met at a diner who is a big fan, who is kind of helping him figure out if he is any of those things, and, like, how is he this man out of time. And in this issue, we actually learn for the first time more about our other character. And we find out that he himself has wanted to be a writer, and he wanted to be a comic creator, and he wanted to just have that experience of putting himself into his work. And, you know, he's like, I just wanted all of that, and I never really got it. And our main character, Benjamin himself, is, like, really, really bad at asking people about themselves and learning about them. And so he doesn't see all of that. We see that as a reader, and he doesn't get any of that information himself. And as he has this big revelation come to him that he hasn't taken the time to learn about the other people, he's realizing maybe, just maybe, he's not the main character of this story. And I really like the twists and turns that, like, this, like I said, this final issue took, and I like the message. And I was talking to Katie today, and I said, so one of my favorite things about ending issues of comics a lot of times is those last, like, 3 pages where they are like, hey, this is actually everything it was supposed to happen, and this is what you were supposed to learn. And this is one of those books where, like, when I got to the last page, I was like, yay, that was awesome. And then I was like, but it's like, the whole thing I would want to share with you is the last page, and I can't share that with you. So what I'm going to share with you is read Benjamin. It's only 3 issues long. It kind of takes you on a big sci-fi self-awakening of how much everybody matters. And so read Benjamin. It's amazing. We've got Biker Mice from Mars, issue 3, also from Oni Press and the Nacelle universe. This is much like we were talking about with Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures. This is also bringing your cartoons to life, but this is actually not episodic. This is actually following in one big story, and that story is that the Biker Mice have been dealing with the Plutonians coming to or Plutarchians coming to their world and really just kind of destroying it. They've started creating a weapon that can make volcanoes erupt, and it's destroying all of the places near them. And they're having the struggle of trying to keep their people safe, and they're seeing villages get destroyed and people struggle with society, like actually surviving this society. And they're trying to figure out, how do we solve it? And if you know the biker mice, you know that they are people who were not members of the military, or they were members of the military, and they felt like the military wasn't doing anything to help their people, and so they abandoned it to start their own experience. And now they have found this woman who is like, I can help you stop everything that these people are doing. And they're like, we don't know if we trust anybody anymore who says that they can help, but we don't really have any more options. And as things start to get even worse in this epic battle, they are going to have to learn to trust in new ways. Blue Palo Verde, issue 3 from Mad Cave. All right, issue 1, major cult story. Issue 2, I was like, where are we going? We're not really focusing on the cult. Guess what? We're blending it all together in issue 3, and we're getting a lot of craziness. So this follows a woman who is let out of prison and decides she's going to go home and find her dad, and is like, I got to tell my dad, thank you for everything, and that I'm sorry, and that I'm here to help him. And then when she goes to find her dad, finds out that he's left, and he's moved to like this small town, and some weird stuff has been happening. And so she goes to find the dad, and they're like, leave this town, you can't be here. And she's like, well, I'm gonna stay until I find my dad. And they're like, fine, go talk to the doctor. And the doctor tells her that her dad is there, but that there's something, she can't see him, and there's all this stuff that she doesn't need to know about going on, and that she should just leave town. Well, she, like I said, she finds her dad, and there's cult stuff going on in issue 1, and she's like, I'm getting my dad out of here. Turns out, like, the doctor, the police officer, everybody in town's kind of in on it. And in this issue, when she's trying to get her dad, I don't want to show you the end, trying to get her dad to leave, he kind of leads her down a different thing, and it turns out there is way more to this cult-like experience than we even knew, and it is opening up even more for this world, and a more personal experience with that cult than we would have thought possible. So if you're looking for something a little wild and still growing, you should check that out. Gianna, Naked Aggression, issue 3 from Image. This is just a big action movie rolled into a comic in just like hard art that kind of just feels like you watch the storyboards of an action movie. I'm going to show you this because that makes it totally proving my point. Storyboards of an action movie kind of come to life. This is about a woman who is something happened, and they attacked her husband and her family, and she decides she's going to go after the people that did it. And she decides to do that by stealing this man's son, kidnapping him, and she's like, I'm just gonna take the kid, and then we'll like trade these for all of the stuff. And she like doesn't want to hurt the kid, and now the kid's kind of become her sidekick because every other hero and villain in this world has come after her, and she's like having to fight them all. And the kid who she's kind of kidnapped is just running with her and is like, hey, this guy's a good guy, don't fight them. Hey, this guy's a bad guy, like, what are you doing? Oh, here, let me give you this weapon. And so they've kind of just become a little bit of a team as they make their way through this. And in this issue, she is actually fighting what is known as the local superhero, as he thinks he can stop her from all of the destruction and the kidnapping that she's doing. Meanwhile, we get to learn a little bit more about the Society of Assassins that is coming after her, and just exactly how much danger she's actually going to be in as they do that. And so we get to see the buildup of what is to come, and whether or not she's going to end up a good guy or a bad guy, we're gonna find out. So
I love those inner titles.
I do too. It just, again, it feels like you're reading an action movie storyboards. We've got News from the Fallout issue 3 from Image. It is Image, right? Yes, Image Comics. And this is such a unique concept from Chris Condon, and I love the way it's done. It is all done in these like blacked out, like black and white images where you can never really see any of the detail. And basically it starts out in the 1950s where they are testing the nuclear bombs, and they decide that they're not going to pull back all the people in the area. They're just going to go ahead and do it. And it ends up causing a radioactive problem that definitely changes all of the people who are in it, and we get kind of a zombie-esque apocalypse situation happening. And we've got one guy who actually did put on a gas mask and go into hiding, who has made it to the local town, who's like, hey, guess what? This is terrible. All this stuff's happening. Bad people are coming. and nobody knows what to make of it. You know, they all kind of think he's drunk. They don't really know that anything's happening. And we get to see it all take place in this matter of moments, really, as he tries to lock up the local like bar diner area, and they all kind of have to come to terms with what's going on. It's really cool because it is kind of like seeing the beginning of a zombie apocalypse movie, except you can't really see anything. This book does a really great job of also having back matter that tells you more of the story than the actual story itself does, kind of like you see in stuff like Watchmen. So you do need to read all of the classified documents at the back if you really want to get even more to the story. But Chris has definitely created something unique and interesting in this, and I think everybody's going to be talking about that book for a long time. Lazarus Fallen issue 3, also from Image Comics. This is bringing back the world of Lazarus that Greg Rucka had created a while back, and giving us a new story in that world. And this is kind of after all of the stuff that had happened in the previous Lazarus books, though you can kind of jump in and piece it together because they do give you a really great synopsis at the beginning of each issue. And number 1 kind of connected the old world to the new world. But basically, the world is now run by the richest families in the world. It's more that than politics. Each of the families is trying to create their own Lazarus, which is a person who is kind of the defender of the family and kind of can't die. Like, I mean, they can, but it takes a lot. They're these like highly trained assassins, and the main family that we're following, their Lazarus has gone away. She's escaped from there, and she's taken her sister, who is basically just essentially the clone person who's going to be like the next Lazarus for the family. And now they have moved to France, and they are trying to get in touch with another family member where maybe they can bring down their family. And that was going not well at all, and now it's going even worse as another family who absolutely hates theirs is after them as well. And so they've got their own family and other families coming for them, and in this issue they kind of really have to just start digging into that. But we also get to see what the family's plan is to kind of get back at them, like their own family's plan in this issue. And so lots of layers coming together only to make their lives even harder. We've got The Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos, Children of the Night, issue 3 from Dark Horse. This is just the newest volume of Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos. This is a James Tynion, Tate Bromble kind of co-designed idea, Tate Bromble writing it. And this book has gotten so much better over the course of the time. This has become one of the books that I want to put at the top of my pile every time, and it's so good. This is the story of a kid named Christopher Chaos, who's kind of our Victor Frankenstein adventure kind of person, and he feels really out there and lost, and he befriends a bunch of other people who are similar to other Universal monsters. We've got Dracula Boy, we have some werewolves, we have a girl who can speak to ghost cats, and they are being chased by a secret society that is kind of like Van Helsing on steroids. That's very cult-esque and just absolutely hates monsters. And the only thing that's helping defend them is Adam Frankenstein, the Frankenstein's monster. And they've kind of had a lot of big issues and problems in the past. And now in this volume, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde has shown up, and he is like, look, I can help you kids with everything you're going through. I just need your help. Also, there's this big monster hunter who's coming, and we're all in danger. And it might be my fault because I'm here. And they're kind of having to deal with that. And in this issue, we see Dracula Boy out on his own trying to kind of deal with it. We learn a lot about him as a person that we haven't had the experience of learning in the previous volumes. And then we see some terribly who knows what's going to happen moments come to leave us on some big cliffhangers. In the back, we do get a second story, which is Monsters in Love, which is actually the comic book that Christopher Chaos is reading in the series. And so this is one of the stories of just a girl who has fallen in love with a monster and is trying to build that love and make it work together between them. So you get 2 books for the cost of 1 in this, and I mean that literally because this book still stays $4.99 even though it is a flip book with 2 stories in it. And honestly, if you haven't read Christopher Chaos, I'm going to be completely honest. If you pick up volume 1, you're going to be like, I don't know, it's not really a lot there. I'm not really sure. But once you get to like volumes 2 and 3, the story just gets so much richer and deeper, and the characters just get so strong, and there's so much going on. I know one of the issues of Christopher Chaos made it into my top like single issue choices for last year's Spectastic Awards, whatever you want to call it. So it is getting so good, and you definitely need to check it out. Be Not Afraid, issue 3 from Boom Studios. This has that classic like horror movie feel to it, really. Just so much like lurking in this, very Omen-esque kind of darkness. But this is all about a woman who gives birth to a demonic angel, essentially. And she is living in this world where her son, everywhere he goes, he brings destruction and death. And he has just kind of destroyed everything, and she knows that the only thing she can do for the betterment of all of mankind is to kill this child, who's no longer even a kid anymore. He's kind of like, looks to be like in his upper 20s or so at least. But we're seeing her just struggle with the idea that like she made this evil and she might have to kill it. And in every issue, we kind of go back and forth a little bit to when the kid is young and that destruction he causes just as a child, and to her dealing with the now of like, I should kill him. And in this issue, we actually see her having a conversation with another angel who is like, look, this is like, the destruction is more than you understand. And she's like, he's like, you can't just kill him. You're gonna have to do so much more than that. And she was like, what does that mean? And he's like, have you ever wondered about your town? And he starts telling her all these different things about her town and the people in it. And it just completely changed so much of the story. I always say issue 3 is the turn, and the turn in this is real. You guys have to check this out. There's so much that I still don't understand, and I can't wait to understand as they pull it all together. And Lissandra's art is just absolutely fantastic for giving you that sense of dread and that feeling of, I don't really know where I'm going next, but I know I'm terrified of it. So 7 Years in Darkness, Year 3, Issue 2 from Midnight Factory. This is a massive universe that Joseph Schmalke has built. It is all about, essentially, it's like Harry Potter for adults. It is a school that is for witches and wizards and dark creatures, essentially. And these magical families all send their kids to this school, and they spend 7 years at the school. And basically, the 7 kids who make it out become the 7 ruling witches, wizards, whatever you want to call them, for the next time frame until they build another class. And it's been a long time since they've done just that. There has been a lot of problems because, as I said, it's only like 7 people like make it out of this school, and hundreds go in. And so it's like death and destruction around every corner. But because it's the first time they've opened the school in a long time, there's also new death and destruction. It's not even the standard, like you failed your magic test, which ended in death. We've had some strange occurrences of people coming out of the woodwork trying to take out these people, like all of this demonic forces, other beings. And in this issue, we are actually talking about what they're doing is called the Rush. And basically they give all of the kids this serum, this potion, and a bunch of them are just gonna die. Like, it's like, oh, most of you will die over the next month or so from this serum. And those of you who survive, you're probably going to be the 7. Like, we're rushing you. You're also going to age up. So some of you are just going to be old. It's a lot of crazy things are going to happen. Sorry, kids. That's just the way this goes. Meanwhile, one of our main characters is really struggling, and the way that they choose to save him is also going to change everything. And we are risking exposure once again of the school and the magical world by the human world, with some big bad decisions that are made. There's a lot going on in this. You definitely need to read years 1 and 2 in order to read year 3. So hopefully Joseph is able to get years 1 and 2 back in stock, because I know we've sold out of year 1 trades like this in the first 5 seconds that we had them. So hopefully we get some more soon. The Voice Said Kill, issue 2 from Image. This book is so good. It's so freaking good. And this issue 2 just elevated what issue 1 created. And I'm so excited to see where it continues to go. This is about a woman who is pregnant, and is working as a park ranger on the bayou. And she's kind of like, nothing ever happens. It's slow moving. I can have, I can be pregnant and still do this job, and it won't be a problem. Well, in the first issue, before it even starts, they have a barbecue, and all of the food is tainted and everybody gets sick. And so now she's the only one on, and she's having to deal with everybody's problem, which includes like this woman who is kind of like the matriarch of the bayou, who runs moonshine, and everybody's like, okay, just, stay out of her way, let her do her thing. Plus some poachers, all kinds of different things. Well, our little park ranger, she got herself in a whole mess of trouble at the end of the first issue, trying to defend herself. And that trouble is only getting worse, because as she comes into this one, we find a dead body somewhere in one of the little park ranger park hotels, essentially, in the dumpster. And what she discovers is there are a group of people who are going after some stuff. We don't know what yet. And she accidentally gets tied up in all of their mess, and now she is in a world of trouble, and we're going to see how she gets herself out of it. It is dark, it's creepy, it's got such a big story already coming. This is such a killer team working on this, and it's so good, and I cannot wait to see what she does. And also, she is so cool, and I just love seeing her just like kind of stand up to everybody, and also constantly reminding people that being pregnant is not a condition, because they're like, in your condition, should you do this? And she's like, I don't have a condition, I'm pregnant. Like, it's so great. Again, Cy Spurrier and Vanessa Del Rey are just crushing it with that book. Speed Racer issue 2 from Mad Cave. I was going to wear my Speed Racer bandana that I forgot to bring. Oh, wow. It's really cool. Anyway, this has been great. This is kind of giving us more of the like old anime, kind of feeling towards Speed Racer. But this is all about a kid named Speed Racer whose dad is... It's been in the race industry for a long time. His brother was an epic legend of legends in the business until he was killed during a race. And Speed's kind of not been allowed to do that. His dad's kind of shut down the idea of being a race car driver, but Speed has to go fast and is always driving crazy on the streets. One day when Speed is out doing his own thing, a group of people come and attack his dad, and his dad is in danger. And so issue 1 kind of leaves us off with Speed Racer speeding through the city, trying to get his dad to the hospital. In this issue, at the very beginning, he learns that he is going to have to come up with $1 million essentially to pay the medical bills that will save his dad's life. And so he decides the only thing he can do is enter the race and try to get sponsors. Of course, the bad guys want him to join their team, but he doesn't want to do that because that's his dad's one thing that he said is never trust those people, the very people that caused his brother to die. So Speed finds somebody else to sponsor him so he can enter the race, and we get to see what that looks like as Speed takes it on. And of course, we're teasing some more Racer X stuff coming our way, which is going to be Mark Russell on Racer X coming soon. So we're going to have a Speed Racer and a Racer X title, and I cannot wait. It's so much fun. It just, like, you just feel like you're living in the cartoon. I think David Pepose should just write all cartoon books at this point. Like, he's crushing it with, like, Captain Planet and Space Ghost and now Speed Racer. He's just, like, he knows how to bring our cartoons to life. The Six Gun Battle of the Six, issue 2 from Oni Press. This is Cullen Bunn stepping back into his magnum opus, The Six Gun, his big series he's known for. And this is kind of, it's supposed to be after everything that happened and was solved. And we're supposed to, be in this world of just, the Six Gun, all that stuff. Everything's fine. But this is actually a group of people who are actually trying to find the Six Gun, and not just the Six Gun. They are trying to find all 6 weapons. And if they can find all 6 weapons, they can essentially control and destroy all of reality. And there is another group of people who have been brought together whose job it is to try to stop them from doing that. And they didn't realize that they were supposed to stop them from all these things. They thought they were just kind of stopping these people from getting this one gun, only to find out that there is mass destruction and terrible things. And also, maybe that the world they're in isn't the way the world is supposed to be. And only 2 people seem to know what reality actually is and what is actually happening here. And once it is revealed to everybody else, just that little tease of the fact that something else may be going on, we start to see the internal struggle of what is actually happening, and are those people really on our side if they knew all of this all this time and we didn't. And so we're gonna see how this goes. I've never read all of the Sixth Gun, and so I don't really know if you need to, like, if it is like perfectly aligning with things that have happened. But I do know that I'm reading this and I'm not lost and confused. So if you've always been like, I want to read the Sixth Gun, but you've never wanted to buy the omnibus to get into it, or you don't have access to the issues, which most people don't because it has been a while and it was such a popular series, this is a great way to kind of jump in and see if you're going to like the world before you do go out and buy an omnibus for the big thing. Moon Goddess, issue 2 from IPI Comics. This is, I believe, the end of this, at least, enough. I think that they kind of say thank you for reading our story at the end, so I think it's going to be the end. But this is a retelling of, does it actually say the legend? Just the story of the Moon Goddess. It's a Chinese legend, and we kind of see, in issue 1, we saw the beginning of the story, which was about 3 people who were warriors who were tasked with finding these special amulets, and they were supposed to take them to the emperor. And in the process of finding them, 2 of them were like, hey, if we take this to the emperor is going to have immortality, and no one ruler should have immortality and the ability to just like have all of this power and never be able to be stopped. And so we don't think we should do that. Well, the other guy was like, I think that you guys are defying the empire and the emperor and all the things that we should be doing, and I don't agree with that. And so he attacks his friends, and it kind of led to a whole bunch of long running suffering and pain for everybody. We find out in this issue that he ended up being tortured by a demon for the potential deaths he may have caused. Our lead woman, she had actually become the moon, literally became the moon, and the other one kind of took on that like last centurion, lone centurion kind of thing, standing guard outside of the other amulet and hoping that maybe he'd be able to find a way to get to the Moon Goddess. And so this one picks up in that moment of them, like all of them coming back from those places that they're at, and kind of seeing how that story would reconnect and readapt as they all like blend their worlds together, and what exactly happens when you essentially get hundreds of years to think on it and try again. How does the story go? And the moon's a cycle. Things just cycle through. Rebel Moon Nemesis, issue 2 from Titan Comics. This is based off of the world that Zack Snyder created in the Rebel Moon movie. But this is Gail Simone writing a book that is just Gail Simone being awesome. If there's 2 things that Gail Simone is really good at, it's writing female characters who are just epic warriors, and also just writing really good like revenge comics. And this is the perfect combination of those 2 things. This is all about a girl who her village is destroyed by the terrible rulers of this world. They decide that they need to make an example out of somebody to show that they kind of have this ultimate power, and so they destroy her village, and we get to see actually more of that destruction in here. And the fact that our young girl, when she is a child and her village is destroyed, she is miles away. She says she's 2 hours away at another village selling stuff, and she comes back to see the destruction of her town, and she's unable to do anything about it. And so she's been on this revenge quest ever since, and so she's got this list of 11 names that she must destroy, and we just get to see her ticking them off. More than one an issue, we are getting to see her go after different people constantly. And just the way Gail balances the story of what happened to the village and the retaliation that is such a perfect like Ronin balance that she's doing, and it's so cool to see. Like we didn't get just all the backstory in one issue and then now it's just like action of this person going after everybody. She's literally balancing back and forth of every like decision that was made and all the stuff she learned from her family and her experiences, and then like seeing the different people, and we're starting to see some more characters come into play, and it's also interesting because it is Gail Simone that we have this woman who is on this revenge quest, and then like the leader of the army that attacked them was also a woman who feels like nobody takes her seriously because she's a woman, so she does all of these drastic things just to like prove a point. And so it's cool to see Gail Simone kind of even still battling with the duality of how women are treated in those kinds of roles at the same time. So it's, you know, it's Gail. She does everything great. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, Rite of Spring, issue 2 from IDW. This is volume 2 of Beneath the Trees. We do get references back to the original, but if you wanted to just jump in, you could probably jump in here. But we are returning to our happy little Richard Scarry looking world where a bear named Sam runs her nice little hardware store by day, is the upstanding community member, and is also secretly a murderer by night. In volume 1, Sam was dealing with the fact that somebody else was murdering people in her town, and so she needed to figure out a way to capture that person before the police started looking into it, because that would possibly lead them onto her trail, and she didn't want to get busted. In this volume, Sam is actually dealing with some different things. One of those things being the growth of the world. Her own town is seeing a new superstore come in, and the cities that she's always gone to try to find people and victims to kill are starting to see a lot of construction and things like that as well, which is leading to less spaces for Sam to be able to go and hide bodies and do things. But Sam learns about something else in this issue, and that is the internet. And shout out to Patrick Horvath for the beautiful illustrations of dial-up internet. It's so great. But Sam learns about the internet in this issue, and it is it's so fascinating to see. Sam is now more interested in people who are interested in the murders that Sam committed than actually committing the murders themselves. And so this shows that Sam actually reaching out to a message board about somebody who's trying to find out about murders, and it's going to set up that connection that we saw issue 1 already kind of bring in. So this kind of took us back and showed us Sam's side of the story from issue 1. It's so good. Patrick layers this so well, because there's also this whole thing where like wild animals who don't walk and talk like anthropomorphic animals are also kind of coming into the cities, and things are changing. There's so many layers, so much going on. You've got to read it. If you didn't read volume 1, Beneath the Trees does have trade paperbacks. You absolutely need to, everybody should read Beneath the Trees. It was an all-star book, and this is no different. We've got Entanglement, which is a one-shot that's a part of the AWA Prototopia world that they've been building out. These are just different one-shots that show what the future could look like if, instead of having there's the concept of the utopia, which is where everything is perfect, and there's the concept of a dystopia where everything is awful. And a prototopia is basically the idea that we can build these fresh worlds through science, and so and nature, and how we can kind of find those different worlds. This is the second one that takes place in Austin, which is kind of funny. But this is the year 2075, and we're actually watching as a woman is interviewing for a job. And while she's at this job interview, she's basically known as the 4th most leading person in botany, like botanical sciences and advancements. And they're like, how do you feel about being, number 4 in the entire world? And she's like, well, I definitely think I should rank higher than that. And then it just becomes her telling the story of the company that she worked for, and the building of that company, and how she worked with 2 siblings who were the children of the former, most advanced biotech people, and how she kind of created the idea that if we could move energy actually through plants and tree roots and things like that, then we could get energy to everywhere in the world and we could get it faster. And so you could actually have solar energy from Australia power the light bulbs in Texas. And she kind of develops this whole thing, and you see the idea of how we could come up with all this great stuff, but corporations are always going to steal the ideas. They're going to take from people. They're going to, constantly try to change them and make money off of them, and how there will always be these battles. And so while this is trying to tell us, like, hey, like, scientific advancements could get to a place where we could build a better world, this issue actually also tells us that corporations will never truly allow that to happen, and greed will always be the destruction force behind anything that could ever get us to a better society. It's such a fascinating story. You should definitely read it. I love the way it does a frame tell of the interview and then back and forth between all the different pieces of it. Great way to do storytelling. And yeah, it's been a great concept in general to see all these prototopias that they're building. Speaking of one-shots, we have Gotcha Man Joe. This is Bloodline. This is from Mad Cave and their Gotcha Man universe. And this is all about Joe from the Science Ninja team just going out on his own to try to have an adventure. And the whole thing is that Joe, who is always the one trying to make it seem like nobody cares about him and always with the chip on his shoulder, we kind of get to see why in this issue, because he does talk about the fact that he never knew his family. That as far as he knew, he's been on his own forever, and nobody's ever, his parents died when he was really young. He's never had grandparents. He's never had siblings. And he receives a letter that is allegedly from a cousin that's like, hey, I'm a second cousin. We've never met. I don't have any family either. I'd like to meet somebody. Can you come and meet me in this place where our family is from? And he's like, this is obviously a trap. But, like, if it's a trap where it is actually a member of my family and they're in danger, I need to go save them. And if it's a trap where it's not a member of my family, then I just need to stop these people before they hurt anybody else. And so he goes on this journey to try to figure it out, and we actually get to see just a really cool spy action adventure story as Joe actually does try to unravel the mystery of, like, is this family, is this not family, who are the spies, who are they working for, how are they connected to Galactor essentially, and what does family really mean. And so it's a really great one shot. It's actually honestly the first time that I don't hate Joe. So I've been like, every issue that he's been in, he's always the guy that I'm like, I just kind of want to punch you myself. And in this issue, I was finally like, hey, I finally get it, buddy. Like, way to learn and grow. So good issue. Way to go, Steve Orlando, for making me not dislike Joe anymore. We'll see how long it lasts. We've got the kickoff of Stitch from Dynamite and their Disney Comics imprint. This is just, let's just be honest, this is just going to be fun. Stitch is, we've had Lilo and Stitch so far, and now this is just Stitch on his own. But this is from the point of view of the bad guys. It's from Jumba's point of view, and he is like, the greatest invention I ever created was 626, and they took that away from me, so now I need to come up with a new invention. And he decides he's going to make this evil hair gel, and basically it's going to make you have this crazy awesome hair, but the hair will actually have the ability to control people's minds and make them become obsessed with you. And of course, being that Stitch exists in this world, Stitch steals the hair gel and eats it and gets all the hair, or puts it on, and gets all the hair gel hair growth, and suddenly becomes the fan favorite of the world, and everybody is chasing him around, and he absolutely hates it. He doesn't want all the attention. He just wants to have an enjoyable day. And so they have to come up with a way to actually open up the world to understanding that Stitch and his hair are not that special, and that maybe everybody should have has special things about them. But it's Stitch, and once again, he does that completely wrong. And so it's just hijinks, and it's adorable, and it's fun, and it's a great way to just have a good time. If you're a fan of Lilo and Stitch, you absolutely need to make sure that you add Stitch to your pull list, because it's gonna just be fun stories with Stitch. And it's going to be episodic. That one is completely wrapped in that issue. We've got Red Vector, issue 1 from Mad Cave. This is another sci-fi kind of adventure coming from them, but this is the sci-fi coming to us, essentially. We start with out in space, and we see two people who are at odds with each other, that are brothers, that are in this like epic battle, and you know, you're gonna see like, oh, I'm gonna attack you, you're gonna attack me, and then we have a fighter pilot who's in there who's like, I'm gonna take you out, like you think you're gonna get away. And so we see them go into this war against each other, and in the process of it, they get sucked through this portal, and when they go through this portal, they crash land onto the planet Earth. And this woman who is a park ranger finds them and is able to actually kind of takes them both in and is like, look, you're both from somewhere else. I don't really know what's going on. I don't know what's going. You guys need to get it together. And so she kind of heals them both and is dealing with that. And it's kind of like, okay, we've got to help you guys get back to y'all's place. Y'all got to work together long enough to get away. But of course, this is issue 1, and the problems are only just beginning. And now, danger is coming to the planet Earth. It is the fault of both of these guys, and our park ranger, Cora, is definitely not prepared. And I don't want to spoil too much because it does start to build out like what that world is going to look like in that first issue. We've got TMNT Shredder. He's finally back. Issue 1 from IDW. The Shredder has been out of the Ninja Turtle comic proper for a while now, and we don't know why, but we're gonna learn in this series. This is going to bring Shredder back, and that's exactly what happens. We have some people who are doing a stakeout on a place that has a new organization that's basically not like, it's kind of old Foot Clan members who are building their own little cult of sorts, and they have taken over Shredder's old hiding place, and Shredder suddenly finds himself alive and free and coming to this place, and he comes in and sees these people have taken over his spot, and he's like, this is not okay. I am the Shredder. I am coming after you. And they do not bow down to Shredder, and we actually get to see Shredder actually needs some help. And so the FBI essentially comes in and they're like, hey, you caused us to lose those people. We've been chasing them for a while. We know who you are. And we don't really know how you got back. We don't know if you know how you got here. We don't know what's going on. But if you work with us, we'll help you out. And he's like, what could you possibly give to me? It's obviously not my freedom because I'm Shredder. I could leave if I wanted to right now. And they're like, what about your glory? What about your honor? Don't you want that? We know who you are. We know that's what you want. And so is Shredder going to be working with the FBI? What is that going to look like? When is he going to cross paths with the Turtles? Most importantly to me, when is he going to cross paths with Karai? Because Karai is in charge of the Foot, but she is having like this ancestral journey that is like totally messing with her mind right now. I just need to see Shredder and Karai have this family reunion of all terribleness. I cannot wait. Needs to happen. But I also want to see where this is going to come into cross paths with Jason Aaron's Ninja Turtles as happening, because we haven't had Shredder. He's got to come back to the world. Where is this taking us? What is going to happen? How is he going to come back into the world? I don't know. This is just issue 1. He's just come back right now. Let's go, Shredder. Let's see where you're at. Also, are we getting Shredder the anti-hero, or is he still going to be a bad guy? Again, lots of questions after issue 1. Can't wait to see how they unfold. Also, new Shredder armor. Just saying. We've got a one-shot from Hellboy with the Professor Harvey is Gone. This is from Dark Horse and that Mike Mignola Hellboy universe. These are always just so fun. Again, you don't have to know anything about Hellboy to do it. And basically, Hellboy gets called in because Professor Harvey is missing. And his assistant is like, I don't know what happened. He was here. He got a package. He was very excited about it. He opened it and then he was gone. And Hellboy is like, I wonder what it is. Hellboy opens up the package, touches the statue inside, and suddenly also finds himself in a completely different world. And in this world, there is a monstrous woman who is like, you must love me. And Hellboy's like, yeah, okay. Listen, every time I've ever fallen for that, it's been terrible. And so he is got to battle his way through this and hopefully be able to find a way to battle and save Professor Harvey as well and see where that's going to lead him. It is a one-shot, so if I show you the second half of the book, it'll spoil all of those things that I just asked you to question. So just grab it and read it. It's fun. What's your question?
I'm trying to see who's the art team on it.
Oh, yeah. The art team on it's Giuseppe Mununta, who did all the arts and colors, and it is actually Mike Mignola writing it. So we don't see that a lot on Hellboy anymore, but it is actually Mike writing it. Masterminds, issue 1 from Dark Horse. This is a new Zach Kaplan book, and I have so many questions, and I'm so excited about this book. Zach Kaplan loves to write books that mess with your mind, and this is definitely going to be another one. This is all about a guy who, as a child, got really obsessed with video games. Obviously, like a kid coming out of like, our time frame or even after, because he talks about all of the old kind of games that he's got wood paneling on his wall. He definitely was playing video games when they started in the 80s. Look at that wood paneling. This kid was like, oh, video games became a thing, and now they're kind of everywhere. And he comes up with a game, makes an indie game, releases it, wins all these awards, and then is like, I'm going to be a game developer. And he goes to a video game company to like kind of pitch it to see if they'll distribute it, and they give him a job writing code to make trees in the background of a game. And he's like, this isn't what I wanted. It's terrible. They're like, you don't get to sleep. You don't get to go home. The game still has bugs. Y'all can't do anything. And so at a gaming convention, they're still sitting in the background just working. And he gets a friend who's in marketing to actually give him a chance to meet the guy in charge of the company. And the guy in charge is like, set up something with your supervisor. I don't really care. And he's like, well, I thought you like to help indie people. And he was like, I do, but not when they're here interrupting me when I'm having my drinks. And so he gets really upset about it. And he is at a party later that night, and he learns about a thing. He sees this big flash on a screen across the building from him, and it's like, that's the code for Masterminds. And he learns that that's a secret organization that you can join if you can solve the mystery. And he immediately is like able to solve it, and then they put him through a bunch of challenges and obstacles. And it gets very dark very fast, and he learns that like, if life is a game, not everybody's a winner, and there is so much in the second half of this book that I am not going to spoil for you, but I am so stoked for this book. Again, Zach Kaplan's so good at messing with your mind. Cannot wait to see exactly how he's going to do that as the story unfolds. We've got this gigantic book called The Man Who Dreamt the Impossible, and it is a, like a fictional story for Jack Kirby, and this is from Image Comics, and it's just a massive thing. It is about a guy who goes to work in an assisted living place. I love this page, actually, so I'm going to leave this on here for a second because the guy goes to work in an assisted living place, and he's going to be working with a man named Jack King. This page right here, I have to leave it on here because this does not read in a typical pattern at all. This page, they go down the stairs, and so you go down to the bottom, and then they take an elevator up, and so you go all the way back, like up, and then you go across, and then you go down the stairs again, and you come across the middle. It's such a fascinating, cool way to play with the medium. Love it so much. Anyway, this guy is working with a guy named Jack, and he learns that Jack King used to be a great writer and has all these imaginary worlds, and now his brain, he's kind of trapped in those worlds, and the only thing that used to calm him down was the library, but now the library kind of stresses him out. And so this kid, this new guy, starts trying to help Jack organize the library, and in the process he kind of frees up some of Jack's memories. And we learn that I love this because Jack kind of starts to have these memories come to him, and it kind of puts him in Kirby Crackle. But Jack, we see that Jack's kind of world unfold, and we learn that Jack created all these characters, and another person stole all of his ideas and started using those ideas to go work with other people and make even more money and sell them off to movie production companies and things of that nature. And we see this epic battle between them, and I'm actually going to show you, because it does, what they do that's so cool in here is they do actually show you, like kind of start putting things into more and more Kirby-esque style art as it goes on. But it's really cool because the kid is like, I end up in this world. Like, he's like, I think I'm dead. I don't know where I am. And the guy's kind of like in this imagination of Jack. And they do have to actually, Jack's like, I'm going to have to actually battle against the man who, like, stole all this stuff from me. And I have to show you this page, and I don't care. You got to see it. Because it's so cool to see Jack kind of come into different characters that he created and fight as those characters. And it's so awesome. And it's just cool because all the other guys in the nursing home also have names that are very familiar because they are fictionalized versions of the characters. But when we do get to, I just love it. Look at all this like Kirby crackle that they put into this. And they actually make that reference a couple times in the book too. But when they do get to the end and they talk about what it was that made Jack so great, the character in this book, but also of course Jack Kirby, they do actually give us a little teaser of like who everybody was, and so they kind of show you all the great things, but then they do reference who everybody else in the book was supposed to be, and so you get to see, well, not everybody, they don't name all the names, but they do name all of his other friends that he's sitting around the table with, which is really cool. You get to see like Wally Wood. You get to see, there's a reference to Steve Ditko. You get to see Martin Flask, and so Gene Colan, a bunch of other, it's really cool the way they did it. But it's really just, it's a fun little adventure. Like, what if, you know, Jack Kirby's fight to get all his characters back was actually Jack Kirby fighting as his characters. Just a nice little fictionalized tribute to Jack Kirby. All right, I'm going to take another drink of this wine before I talk about picks of the week. I'm so curious as to what it will be when I drink it. A little more peppery again, but still more flavor. What about you? What'd you get? Because you're swirling, so I don't want to swirl in our comics. It makes me nervous. Oaky? I can see that.
Oaky peppery.
It's got a lot of the pepper still, which I love. It's so good.
Red fruit.
Definitely red fruit.
Red.
Yeah. All right, we got 3 picks of the week as usual. And of course, you know, I have to bring this first and foremost, which is The Invisible Man. From Image Comics and Skybound and the Universal Studios Universal Monsters line. I love that these are actually like the Universal Monsters. And this is actually what started it all. The concept of bringing out the Universal Monsters books was actually James Tynion wanting to write an Invisible Man story. And so it's cool that we actually finally get to that. James Tynion was told, you know, you need to launch it with Dracula, so he put that out first. And now we're circling back to James Tynion writing The Invisible Man, who I really love. So I'm so excited to see this. This is just a classic story. This is a guy who is working in a lab, and while he's doing it, he's working with all these different things, and he realizes that if he takes monocaine and he gives it to rats, this rat gets stronger than the other rats, but it also starts to get paler and paler as he gives it more and more of the chemical. And then one day he discovers that the rat is really tired of all of the other rats and starts attacking them because he's just over the fact that they're weaker than him. And he is also marrying that with his own experience because he is kind of tired of all the other people. He feels like the overseer of the lab doesn't take him seriously. The other people who work in the lab, whose research he thinks is pedantic, is not, like, they don't see a value in what he's doing at all. They constantly mock him. And even, like, the woman that he loves is like, oh, you know, you could be great, but, like, my dad doesn't really take you seriously because you've never really shown any promise of, like, moving forward. But I think your experiments are great. And so he's just kind of trying to get people to take him seriously. And he kind of more identifies with this rat than anything. And so he's determined to get to a point where maybe he could get to human trials, but he starts having all of these visions of every time he's like angry with somebody, of him killing them like really violently. And so he's like, I've got to get, like, I just wish I could take people out the way the rat does. And this is just the opening of the story. You can definitely see that this is the one that James Tynion really, really wanted to do, because he builds out so much story in this. We get so much of it. And we're just leading up to that like point of getting to where we might become the Invisible Man, and I'm so excited. Again, I honestly already, this is probably the strongest written of the 4 that have come out. This is 5. Dracula, Creature, Mummy, and Invisible Man. Frankenstein. I did forget Frankenstein. Yeah, so we're on 5. Yeah, this is honestly, though, probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest written so far. It definitely feels like it has the most story in the first issue. A lot of them kind of gave you a little bit of story to like drag you in. This one is like, hey, here's like, we're going heavy. You've got a strong narrator. He's narrating a lot of it because, of course, the Invisible Man does do a lot of narration because he's invisible, so he's not talking to a lot of people. But we're in his head a lot in this space already, and I can't wait to see where this goes. And I think it's gonna be so good, and it's gonna be really, really dark and fitting to what it should be. And I can't wait to see if James does any twists and turns to it, or if he just sticks to the classic story. A complete opposite end of the spectrum is I Have to Do It, Love Struck #2 from AMP Comics. This continues to be a fantastic book, but also I'm just going to keep putting it in here until you'll give me more romantic comedies. I'm just saying, it's just going to keep going until somebody else steps up and gives them to me. But this book just keeps getting better. This is the story of a woman who goes to meet her boyfriend only to find out that he is going to propose. She hates the idea of getting married so much that she tries to run away by pulling out her car from the parking lot immediately, and in the process, she accidentally kills Cupid. Of course, he doesn't really die, but his body itself is, his corporal body is dying. And now, in order to clear her name so she doesn't go to jail for manslaughter, but also revive Cupid so that love can continue to exist on this world, she has to make people fall in love. And the actual people that she needs to make fall in love is the ones that Cupid came to make, which is her fiance with his assistant. And so in this issue, she's trying to teach the assistant how to be the kind of person her fiance would fall in love with by making her into the complete opposite of what she is. And it is absurd. She like gets the dog collar, and she's like, every time you make a terrible decision, I'm going to shock you with this collar. And even Cupid is like, that's inhumane. You can't do that. You shouldn't even do that to a dog. And she's like, look, I've got to do something. These two have to fall in love. And Cupid's like, you have no idea how love works. And then she actually does have to go to her jail, or her court case opportunity for hitting Cupid, because nobody knows that Cupid is still alive in just like spirit form. And the judge for the case is so great who they bring in for that. There's so many just great little twists and turns, hilariousness. I honestly, it feels like Bedazzled starring Brendan Fraser and Elizabeth Hurley and all of those kind of comedies from that time period. It's so good. It's well written. It's funny. It's great. I just can't wait. The stakes get higher every issue, and we find out at the end of this issue just exactly how high those stakes are going to get if she wants to have any chance of getting out of jail and saving Cupid's life. It's hilarious. It's fun. There's gonna be some kind of great romantic twist at the end. I'm so excited. I already love these characters. Expect to hear us talk about this book a lot more. And if you're not reading Love Struck from AMP, I don't know what you're doing. Go get it. It's great. And again, publishers, make more books like this. It's so good. It's been a pick of the week. Both issues. That's a sign. And then lastly, we've got Vanishing Point issue 4 from Mad Cave. This is another one of those books where I'm going to tell you right now that really I just want to tell you that the end of this book is so fantastic. But this is an anthology series, so this is a standalone. You can just read this, and this issue is all about a robot that is working in a factory situation, and he is brought in to meet with the people because they fear that he has become too sentient, and they want to do a test that they run on robots to make sure that they are not having their own thoughts and their own emotions and feelings. And basically they tell him, if you pass the test, then we know that you're alive and we will put you in the incinerator. And he's like, well, what happens if I don't pass the test? And they were like, well, the final test is essentially like us telling you to follow orders, and those orders might lead to your death either way. So he's like, so I'm going to die either way. And they're like, well, yeah. And he's like, well, that's not fair. Like, I don't like that, and starts like questioning everything. And that leads them to this whole other conversation with him, essentially about like, what is life and what is imagination and what does it mean to think, and how do we actually determine like who is alive and who isn't, and what does it mean to be a sentient being with your own hopes and feelings and thoughts and dreams. And it's Mark Russell, so it becomes this beautiful conversation about what does it mean to be alive and have hopes and fears and thoughts and dreams. And you just get to the end and you want to like do something to prove that you're alive. And you want that to be something that involves using your imagination and exploring the world and becoming like just the best person that you can be. It's kind of like if you could summarize, if you gave me like a summary of all of the thoughts and feelings that Traveling to Mars gave you over all of the issues, this kind of gives you a lot of that in one story, but like from a robot's point of view instead of a human's point of view. So it's really fantastic. As always, Mark Russell is just the greatest of all time, and you should read it. All right, we've got another whole bunch of books in stock. Obviously, I'm not going to go through all of them. This is your rapid fire round of everything else that came out this week. We've got Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, Seeds of Salvation, issue 1 from IDW. We've got The Thing, issue 4. Death of the Silver Surfer, issue 3. Red Sonja and the Army of Darkness are still going at it in issue 5. Red Sonja was also reborn in Sonja Reborn issue 1 this week. Speaking of AMP Comics, Prodigal Son hit second prints of number 1. Way to go, AMP, for your first title getting second prints. And I know second prints of issue 2 are also on their way. Peacemaker presents Vigilante Eagle double feature number 5. Monstrous, issue 59. Congratulations to that team for continuing to make an amazing book. Green Arrow, issue 27. Dune, Edge of Chris Knife, issue 1. We've got 2 Bring on the Bad Guys with Mephisto and Dormammu, and I believe that wraps up the Bring on the Bad Guys miniseries. Fantastic Four Fanfare, issue 4. Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 6 is out. Absolute Wonder Woman issue 11 is out. Robin and Batman Jason Todd number 3. New Avengers. Nope, not New Avengers. The Avengers are new with issue 29. There's actually a New Avengers title too. Don't get confused. Doom 2099 issue 1. The Flash issue 24. Green Lantern Dark issue 6. Incredible Hulk issue 28. Justice League Unlimited issue 10. And I love to see Yada Flor on that cover. Where is she? Why aren't we using Yada Flor more? Use Yada Flor. Mr. Terrific Year 1 issue 4. Predator, Black, White, and Blood, issue 2. Miles Morales, Spider-Man, issue 37. Spider-Man Spider-Verse versus Venomverse, issue 4. Star Wars Hyperspace Stories, Codebreaker, issue 3. Star Wars Dr. Aphra, Chaos Agent, issue 3 as well. Superman, issue 29. Runaways, issue 3 as a part of that One World Under Doom. I'm going to sit those down because that's getting too much from my hand. Thor lost his immortality, apparently. No longer the immortal Thor. Now he's just mortal Thor. This is issue 1, which is just going to lead us back into the title just being called Thor. Wolverine Kitty Pryde, issue 5. X-Men Tooth and Claw, issue 1. Emma Frost White Queen, issue 3. In addition to new series or new single issues, we have a bunch of new trades out. We have the full story of Vicarious. This is a fantastic story about a guy who goes into the world of proxies, which is basically selling yourself out for people to live vicariously through you. He ends up in a whole mess of trouble. It's an amazing story. We've got volume 2 of Ultra Mega. Kaiju but like crazy art. Actually, let me show you that art really fast because it is insane. Let me see if I can find a big kaiju battle. That's actually kind of cool right there. Look at that. You've got like people who can turn into giant kaiju fighters, kind of like a Jet Jaguar, but and kaiju blend. We got Black Lightning. This is the new series. This is all of that story, issues 1 through 5, plus stories from DC's Saved by the Bell, Reeve, DC Power 2024 #1, and DC Power Rise of the Power Company. We've got Volume 1 of New Gods. If you haven't jumped in on Rom V's New Gods yet, you've got that trade and hardcover available to you now for that first 6, probably. Maybe. We just don't tell people. It's a secret. It's a secret. You can't know. I assume it's the first 6 issues, but I don't know because it doesn't actually say on the back of the book. Would have been helpful. We've got Radiant Black. This is volume 7. So this is issues 31 through 36 of Radiant Black, which is a great story if you are fans of Power Rangers or even like Invincible, any of those alternative action heroes from Image, you should, or other universes, you should definitely change it. It really does feel, Radiant Black feels so much like Power Rangers, and it is actually Kyle Higgins who was writing the Power Rangers world for so long for Boom, so you should definitely grab that. Galaxy of Madness. This is volume 2, so this is issues 6 through 10, which is the wrap-up of Galaxy of Madness. Those Not Afraid, this is issues 1 through 4 of that series. We are definitely going to get more. We have not. This cannot be the end of this series. Dead Weight is out. This is all of Dead Weights from Ahoy Comics, which is about 2 villains who decide they want to be superheroes. And it just doesn't work out the way they want for them very well. And we see their journey. And then we've got Cry Wolf Girl, which is a new graphic novel from Silver Sprocket. And I, once again, just want to show you some really cool art. It's just a really beautiful book. It's all about exploring trauma and community care and dealing with your family, like family illness and things like that. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. If you just want a beautiful book, this is definitely one to grab for sure. That is all I have for you. This week at Bat City, I don't really think we have much going on other than the fact that it's New Comic Book Day. So we'll see you on Wednesday for New Comic Book Day. The September calendar of all the events.
Marauders Ladies.
Oh, yes, it is Marauders Ladies Night this Friday. It is Girls Night Out at the Marauders game this Friday, which is also the last, next to last Kids Club night for the year. But it is a Kids Club game, so we'll be out there with Kids Club activities as well as some fun stuff for all the ladies. I know there's going to be a lot that the Marauders are doing, so you don't want to miss that. That is Friday night. Gates open at 5:30. Game is at 6:30. I'm really excited. Katie will be out there doing drawings to celebrate women in art as much as we're celebrating women in sports that night. And then, don't forget to check out our September calendar coming to you this week. It'll be up tomorrow as well as all of those events. And then make sure you've got September 27th on your calendar, local comic shop day, Zine Fest, and Batastic Anniversary. Lots of big announcements coming, so keep your eyes on that Facebook event or the announcements on our Instagram page. Again, tonight we were drinking Tamiz, which is a Tempranillo. It's been deliciously peppery, starting to open up to some oaky flavors. I'm really excited to finish drinking this. I hope you're excited to grab all these books and start reading, and we hope you enjoy them. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.